Alright, I'm working on this wheel horse here. This one is a 1965 model 855. So on ones like this, I tear them apart, clean all the pieces, fix what's wrong, put them back together. This ended up being a weak point for a wheel horse for a couple of years. From 61 to 65, they used this design, and it took a few years for them to start cracking. That's where all the weight is supported when it's bolted to the transmission. So this is where it cracks. You got a crack starting at the top here and going next to this bolt all the way out the bottom. On this side it's the same thing. You got a crack up here and it goes around that bolt, comes out the bottom. Another crack going out sideways there. And this one has some cracks near the top bolt holes also. And it's all because this plate was made flat like that. So in 1966 they put some strengthening ribs in there. This is what your strengthening ribs look like. They also folded up this bottom lip a little bit right here, and that adds to the strength. So we're going to weld up these cracks, flatten out the plate, and then add a couple of straps there. Sometimes it takes longer to get ready to hit the thing with a hammer than it does to really hit it. So what I got going on here, the frame is sitting on the ground, on the floor, cement floor. And I have it clamped to a table that's going to support it vertically. So all these blocks and boards are simply to hold the vise. My vise only opens up to 6 inches, so I had to remove the jaws to get around this piece. So I'm not trying to squeeze it. Don't have much pressure on there. The point is I just want to trap it. So I'm squeezing in until my vise jaws are the same width as some of this non-bent portion up here. So you can see where this piece is bent up and then it's fairly straight because that's what was bolted to the transmission. And then this other side starts to go down. So if I didn't have this vise here and I was to hit it here, this piece would kick out. So the point here is I'm trying to bend this at this corner to get it back to the original shape. Then I'll grind away some metal here and put welds in there. So it's closer to flat now. These two line up fairly well. This one still springs up a little bit. But you can flex that down to bring that in line. Still have a little distortion around the holes. This is high on the outside, and this is high on the outside. So I'm going to use this bolt and some nuts so that I can get some leverage on that little piece of metal where I need it. And I'm also going to grind off some of these burrs here. I think that's where the mower deck was hitting the frame. Now this crack over here was torn away, so that crack is on an angle. So I can't really bend this center section down to let it spring back and stay flat. Pretty much have to clamp it down where it belongs while I work on it. And then weld it in position. I try to grind at least halfway through the material, and then I try to melt the rest of the way through so it's all connected together when you're done welding. That looks pretty good there. I got the welds all ground down, and you also have to grind the weld out of the inside of the holes. So you do each hole till this bolt fits in there. Well, I got the welds cleaned up on the front side also here. And these are the pieces that I'm going to weld on there for reinforcement. So what I've done here is taken a marker and marked where the weld beads are going to go. So I'll have one on each end, two on the top, two on the bottom. Now on this one, I think I can get in there and weld the ends. We'll have two on the bottom and just one on the top because I have to reach this from the other side between those frame rails. So now I'm going to sandblast where the lines are, because that's where my weld's going to be. Alright, I got that cleaned up. I also sandblasted the edges of these pieces. So I'm going to use bolts to hold them in position while I weld them. Here's the pieces welded on. Got her cleaned up and sandblasted. And then I'm going to paint that area just so it doesn't rust. Well, since I added a 1/4 inch thickness to that material, Need to use a 1/4 inch longer bolts. That looks like that'll work.
Alright, that's it.